Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Critical Conversations. I'm Ricky Watson, and this week, we're diving deep into issues that matter most to you. So whether you're tuning in from your living room or catching us on your favorite streaming device, I'm thrilled to have you with us tonight. And today's show is all about empowerment and energy leadership. What does it really mean to lead with energy? How can we harness our inner strength to not only achieve our goals, but also inspire those around us? We're going to deal with those questions with our special guest, the incredible Cicely Victoria, a certified professional coach and counselor whose insights on leadership and personal growth are nothing short of transformative. But that's not all. In our coaching corner, we'll be addressing a concern that many of us grapple with: feeling dissatisfied despite a list of achievements. If you're someone who's checking all the right boxes but still find something missing, you're not alone. We'll offer some practical advice and strategies to help you find fulfillment and purpose. And as we wrap up the week, don't miss our segment, Be Encouraged. Life can throw us into challenging situations, but it's often in those very moments that we find our greatest opportunities for growth. I hope to inspire you to see the miracles hidden within your mess and to find strength in adversity. So let's get started. Please join me in welcoming to Critical Conversations the phenomenal Cicely Victoria. Cicely, thank you for being here with me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Have a seat.
I appreciate it.
Well, Cicely, for those that do not have the privilege that I have of knowing you, tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, in a nutshell, what I do a lot, but mainly what I'm most passionate about doing, what I love doing the most, is helping, training, and equipping teens and young adults primarily in their purpose and in the apologies.
Not a problem.
I help, I train, and I equip people to find their personal identity so they can stop people pleasing and be empowered to encourage confidence and communication skills.
Oh, now I am going to try not
It's
to
been
go
a long day, y'all.
I'm going to try not to go down a rabbit hole with this people-pleasing thing.
This me and Ricky, we having fun. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely,
Woo!
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. So what inspired you to even go down this path?
Yeah. Well, okay. So a number of things. Mm-hmm. I'm a teacher first, through and through. Okay. First and foremost, yes. So after teaching, and I was a classroom teacher, middle school and high school for about 20 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, and so English teacher. But the way that I teach is very hands-on, learning, very pragmatic, very action-oriented, solution focused. So I recognized that when I got privy to what a life coach was, I was just kind of surfacing back then. And then I talked to one of my sorority sisters who was going down that path, and I was just discovering what more, could be in store for me or what have you, even though I loved being a teacher. And then I was like, oh, that's my evolution. So when I discovered it, I was like, oh yeah, I definitely believe I'm supposed to be that. So I went to school for it and became certified, and here I am. So yeah, teaching, love it, coaching, and also a blend of counseling in there, as you mentioned previously. So yeah, it's just been an evolution.
Man,
really.
Now this is, I'm adding seasoning on this right now.
Yes, please, add the seasoning.
So how does this connect to purpose and a calling for you? Because I know you believe in purpose and calling and following what God has for your life. Yes. How does this fit in the scope of that for you? How does your calling kind of fit like a puzzle piece? Because for me, I can see it fitting, but I want to know like for you.
Okay. If I were to contemplate that, so in the Latin, education is educare, yes, to draw out. And so that's always been the type of person that I am in the space of teaching. So we were, some are under the suggestion that we're to stuff our students, right, and fill them. But really, what we're to do is draw from them, right? What already is housed within.
Wow.
So how it's connected to my calling, I think one of my main premises of my calling that God put me on this earth for is to bring the best out of people. And so that's what I did in the classroom. That's what I do as a coach. That's what I do as a counselor. I find even if they have no clue of what that best is, and I help them to unearth that. And so that's a calling.
Now, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. You know, that gets me excited.
And people need that, right?
Absolutely.
Everyone needs to know that they have, the scripture talks about we are treasures, right, in earthen vessels.
Yes.
And that they have to know that they're a treasure. Even if most of the treasure has been stuffed, right, and smothered by other fragments. Think about a treasure chest, right? There's a lot of garbage in there too that's not valuable.
Very
but once
true.
you sift through all of those things, you're going to find precious gold that, you know, is very valuable. And it may be all the way at the bottom, but it took a while to get through, but there it is, if you just stick with
Absolutely.
it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Now, using your analogy,
Sure.
the treasure and going, fumbling through the garbage and the
Yeah.
trash thing, have you found it that where sometimes people think they can't tell the difference between the garbage and the treasure? Because when you have those two things
Yep.
housed, and it's like, you don't
Yep.
even realize you've been calling that garbage all of these years, and it's
Yep.
really been your treasure.
You know what? You're absolutely right. And humans have a tendency more so to focus on negative things than positive, or invaluable things than valuable. So absolutely. So I do have the beauty of proper perspective.
I love that.
My clients will tell you, and I say this myself, I'm probably one of the most objective people you ever meet. And so
love that.
I love to look at a broad scope and a
Absolutely.
broad lens. Like people sometimes are too tunnel vision, too narrow. They can't see the periphery around them. And so I love to just broaden that scope, give people another perspective because it's everything, and then help them to see what may be missing. It's just a blind spot, and we all have them.
We do.
Yes.
We
So
really
I
do.
love to help people identify the blind spots and what they're missing as opposed to what is missing.
Oh, this is so good. This is so good. Okay. What is one in your line of work? Has there been a reoccurring challenge that you feel like is constantly showing up within a certain demographic, or is just across the board? Just something that's common that comes up.
Sure. Well, it's a big part of my primary clientele are those with the proclivity to people pleasing. Okay. And those who are challenged in people pleasing also have a struggle with their personal identity. So I believe all of humanity, and even, you know, going back to the beginning of time and the fall of man, we can go to the garden. And the issue with Eve and Adam in the garden was an identity issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so everyone throughout humanity, throughout the span of your life, you're always going to come back to the core of an identity issue. And what is the identity? Embracing that identity, discovering that identity, fortifying that identity, walking through that identity with consistency. It's going to be identity.
Absolutely.
Because the evolution of man, you know, and that can morph and it can evolve, but there is a premise, a foundation of who we all were meant to be in the earth. And the expression of that may change, but that core and that foundation that God intended should, I believe, always remain the same. But it is in our will and our yieldedness to that that will determine if that actually does manifest.
That is so rich. That is so rich.
Oh, yeah.
I am still stuck on humanity's first issue being an identity issue.
Oh, yes. Yes. It's such an under-realized epidemic in the earth. And that's why God, you know, told me, he's like, this place needs to be filled. This is the primary issue that many people are overlooking. And mine just happened to be in the premise of people pleaser. I'm a recovering people pleaser myself. So I was the first partaker, right? Okay, I got a witness. I was the first partaker, right, as God does with us,
For sure.
of the overcoming and deliverance of that. And then he was like, okay, now I commission you to snatch those others out of the fire.
Tell us about a time where you witnessed that and seen the success of that process.
Oh, geez. Okay. So because I'm a storyteller, Ricky, and for the sake of time, I just brought a couple of testimonials, if that's okay.
Okay.
Can I
Hey,
share?
yes.
I'd
I
rather
love
my
this.
clients to tell you about it than me. Okay, they can tell it better.
I mean, I'm sure they can. They lived it.
They've lived it. They walked with me. So I just want to share a couple. Here's one. Cicely has an ability to encourage and help bring out elevated levels of focus that has helped me produce measurable growth and momentum toward goals. I've discovered strengths and weakness that has served as an overall strength. I have gained levels of sobriety just through the sheer accountability that has served as an overall strength. I have gained levels of sobriety just through sheer accountability that an experience like this naturally beacons for the serious purpose seeker. I've been challenged in new ways that have created drive and keen focus to build plans of action toward goals. Simply put, I've been tremendously inspired and empowered by the things I've discovered in their depth about me. I'm continuously flourishing in purpose, confidence, and action. I was not just heard, I was understood and inspired to dig deep to discover and lay foundation for what God has made me for me personally. Looking forward to the future, to impacting that way I have been impacted. Passion International lives up to its name.
Wow.
That's just one. Yeah.
So if there's somebody watching right now that's dealing with people pleasing and you didn't have time to have a full session with them. You got 90 seconds. What would you tell them?
Yeah. Well, Ricky, a tagline for my business is press into personal power. And so the issue and the tendency with people pleasing is to deflect and to defer and to look for others for guidance, and for direction.
I love
and
this.
So why I tag press into personal power is because you have to come from within in order to look within in order to flesh out, okay? To know that God has supplied and given you everything already within you to have all the answers. We have this saying in coaching that says, you already have all the answers, right? All that I really am, I like to say, is that I'm like a master cheerleader, and a master navigator, if you will, through your junk, right? Through the clouds, through the muck and the mire. And so I just help people to get all of the smoke screen out of the way so you can see that you really have what you need, okay?
Yes.
You just needed to be empowered to know that you do have it. I have no, magic wand. I'm not a genie. I tell my clients this upon the first session. And and it's a partnership, just like it is with God.
Absolutely.
To press into your personal power, to use what I've given you, right, in order to overcome. And that's what I do. I just help them get greater tools, right? A toolbox, an arsenal, if you will, so that they can have the power then to press into that and overcome. So to press into their personal power, it's what we all have to do until the end of our days.
I absolutely love that. Love that. Unfortunately, our time together has already come to, I cannot believe it, because I have tons of more questions.
Oh my God.
But just tell the folks how they can reach you, contact you, if they're looking to, hire you as their coach.
Yes. Well, as I mentioned, primarily teens and young adults, but honestly, I have clients of all ages. You're more than welcome to have a consultation that is free to you at firestarterpassion.com. And you can email me, firestarterpassion@gmail.com. And I would just love to have a conversation with you to help you press into your personal power.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for spending time with me. I am honored. I want you to know that. I really am.
Yes. No, it's my honor. It's my honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, on the other side of this break is going to be the coaching corner. So stay with us.
I'm Francia Garcia Hernandez. We're on the eve of a historic presidential election in which Latino voters hold significant power. On the next episode of Presente, why exercising your electorate muscle matters. Join us at 7 p.m. via Channel 19, streaming on cantv.org and the CanTV Plus app. Elevated conversation and storytelling. Experience the power of community television.
Welcome back to Critical Conversations. This week, we're diving into a topic that resonates deeply with a lot of us, and that's finding purpose and satisfaction in the middle of success. We've got an intriguing case study for you this evening. David, he's a successful sales rep with a thriving career and a beautiful family. On the surface, David has it all, but he's secretly battling a profound sense of dissatisfaction and lack of purpose. So we're going to explore this issue and offer some practical life coaching advice to help David, and perhaps many of you watching, find renewed fulfillment. Okay? So first of all, I want to thank David for reaching out to me. Thank you for being open about your journey. And I want to jump right into this. I know you've achieved a lot in your career and you have a loving family, but you're feeling unfulfilled. Sounds like you've reached a point where success in your career and personal life isn't translating into the satisfaction you were hoping for. So let's break this down into a few actionable steps that might help you find more purpose and contentment, okay? So step number 1, reconnect with your values, all right? Our values are the core principles that guide us and give our lives meaning. And sometimes in the hustle of achieving success, we can lose sight of those values. Take some time to reflect on what truly matters to you. What are the principles that have guided you throughout your life? Write them down and see if your current lifestyle aligns with those values. And if there's a disconnect, it might be time to realign your actions with what you truly care about. Okay? Step number 2, we've got to redefine success for you. You see, success means different things to different people. And for you, David, it might have been about climbing the corporate ladder or providing for your family. But what does success look like to you right now, in this very moment, in this very year? Is it about making a difference? Is it about achieving a personal goal or finding balance? I want you to redefine what success means to you in this stage of your life and set new goals that align with that definition. Simple as that, right? Ready for step number 3? Create a purposeful action plan. See, once you've reconnected with your values and you've redefined success, it's time to create an action plan. Now, this action plan isn't about drastic changes overnight. I mean, you cannot change everything in one night, but it's about integrating small, purposeful actions into your daily routine. Perhaps it's pursuing a passion project, dedicating time to personal development, or even exploring new career opportunities that align better with what you wrote down as your core values. You have to set what is widely known as SMART goals, right? SMART goals are setting specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. They can help you stay on track and make progress towards finding fulfillment. Okay? Step number 4, cultivate mindfulness and gratitude. Sometimes we can become so focused on what's missing that we overlook the positives in our lives. We were just talking about this in the last segment of the show, over being so quick to look at the negative and missing the positive. But I want you to practice mindfulness because it can help you stay present and it will help you appreciate the moments that you have. Gratitude exercises, such as daily journaling about what you're thankful for, can shift your perspective and help you see the value in your current situation. This doesn't mean ignoring your dissatisfaction, but it can help balance your focus and increase overall contentment. You've got to start somewhere. Start somewhere, and gratitude is a small place to start to lead you down a long road. David, I hope the steps I've given you provide you with a roadmap to explore and embrace new avenues of fulfillment. But I want you to remember it's a journey. It's not a destination. Finding purpose and satisfaction, it's a dynamic process in every sense of the word, and it evolves over time. And to our viewers, if you're feeling similar dissatisfaction, know that you are not alone. and there's always a path forward. You just have to start by taking the first step. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Pilsen, a neighborhood bursting with Latino culture, offering a vibrant tapestry of music, art, culinary tradition, and nightlife. I'm Hugo Balta. In the next episode of Sazón de Illinois, we'll sample the stories, culture, and cuisine of an award-winning restaurant that gives this neighborhood its flavor.
Now today for our Be Encouraged segment, I want to talk about something profoundly powerful, and that's finding the miracle in your mess. We all have moments in life when everything seems to fall apart, whether it's personal struggles, professional setbacks, or deep emotional pain. It can feel like our lives are tangled in an overwhelming mess. But here's the truth. And this truth I sincerely hold dear. And that is, a mess in the hands of God can always become a miracle. Think about it. In the Bible, we see time and time again how God takes what seems broken and makes it beautiful. From the chaos of creation to the redemption of humanity through Jesus Christ, God specializes in transforming the impossible into the miraculous. Consider for a moment the story of Joseph, who was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and then falsely imprisoned. I mean, talk about a movie. His life seemed like a never-ending mess of trial after trial after trial, hardship after hardship. And yet in the middle of all of this, God had a plan. Joseph's story didn't end in defeat. Instead, it ended with him rising to a position of great influence, saving nations from famine, and ultimately reconciling his whole generation. What seemed like an unredeemable mess was in reality the canvas upon which God painted a miracle. But think about Joseph. If he was taking a break in his life along the way, if he had quit when he was being talked about, if he had quit when he was in a pit waiting for somebody to come by and buy him, if he had stopped at those moments, his life would have ended in a mess. Or if he had quit in Potiphar's house when Potiphar's wife was trying to seduce him and he was trying to be a man of good character, if he had thought that life was ending there, life would have looked like a mess. But Joseph hung in there through every trial, through every circumstance, through every situation. He kept living, he kept surviving, and he kept watching the hand of God perform beautiful miracles in the midst of what looks like garbage and trash. It's the beauty of a miracle in a mess. Or let's take the story of the woman with the issue of blood, who had suffered for 12 long years. Her situation seemed hopeless, a continual mess of physical suffering and social stigma. But when she reached out to touch the hem of Jesus' garment in faith, her mess became a moment of miraculous healing. Jesus didn't just heal her physically, he restored her dignity and gave her a testimony of faith. I want you to think about that, because when you're going through life and you're going through hardship and you're going through tough times, what is often also attacked is dignity. In the middle of your own mess of your life, not only do you have to deal with the circumstance itself, and not only do you have to deal with the facts as they are, but now you have to live with, I should have known better than this, or how did I get myself in this situation, or why did I not listen to so-and-so when they were trying to advise me to go a different way? What if I had listened? And so if you're not careful, regret starts eroding your dignity. But when you put it in the hands of God, all of it can become a beautiful beautiful miracle. You see, these stories remind us of a profound truth. There isn't a mess too great for God. In fact, our messes are often the very places where God's miracles shine the brightest. It was in the middle of chaos that God decided to say, let there be light. It was in the middle of barrenness that God decided to tell Abraham, I'm going to make you the father of many nations. It was in the middle of people no longer wanting to follow or hear from God that God raised up a Moses to be a deliverer. It's always in messy situations where God's hand shows forth to be full of power and strength and might. Because when we face challenges that seem insurmountable, it's an opportunity for God to show his power and grace in ways we have never imagined. When you find yourself in the midst of a mess, I want you to remember this: God is at work, even when you can't see it. Your current struggle is not the end of your story. It's a chapter where God is preparing something extraordinary. Trust in his plan. Hold on to your faith and let him work through the mess. Don't try to hide the mess, because if you hide the mess, you may be hiding from your miracle. So in your moments of despair, pray for strength and clarity. Ask God to open your eyes to the miracles he is crafting in the midst of your trials. Sometimes the miracle isn't just about the outcome, but about the transformation that occurs in our hearts when we trust him. So if you're feeling overwhelmed tonight, I want you to take heart. I want you to be encouraged. Let your mess be a reminder of God's miraculous power. Allow him to take your broken pieces and create something beautiful. I want you to remember that with God, there's nothing too hard. He is the master of turning messes into miracles, and he is working all things together for your good. I want you to find the miracle in your mess. See the amazing ways God is at work in your life, and pay attention to the whispers of God in your ear, showing you the miracle, because as always, having those conversations with God proves once again that you can always find transformation. However, it is often on the other side of a critical conversation. I want you to have a great night.